All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 688 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And we're going to jump to Georgia Southern today. We're going to talk about them, have a little game preview of the Georgia Southern Eagles hosting UL Monroe. Louisiana Monroe comes down to Paulson to play Georgia Southern, and this is an excellent game for Georgia Southern to jumpstart the second half of the season and start the second half of the season on the right track. I see the way things are going now. Georgia Southern could possibly go here out there, I may say, undefeated throughout the entire rest of the season. I know it sounds crazy after losing 41-13 to James Madison, which is an excellent team. I mean, those guys are extremely good. But for us, this is a game that we can start looking ahead to possibly win out the season. So I'm not necessarily thinking it will happen, but I'm absolutely rooting for it. So we're going to talk about this game and why this could be a kickstart for that, and maybe they can run the table for the rest of the season. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I also can be found on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I appreciate you guys who've been listening on the podcast side of things. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I cannot thank you guys enough. Numbers looking good over there. The numbers looking good over here on the YouTube side. The YouTube is up to almost 1470 when it comes to subscribers. I really appreciate that. The viewership is between 50 and 100 on average. And I really appreciate that. That means that we are growing and we're moving in the right direction. If you want to be a part of that, like I said, hit the like button, share this podcast, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, I could be found on Twitter where I talk about things that don't necessarily make it to the show. I kind of talk about other things outside of this podcast, and mostly, well, I'll talk about stuff that's on my other channel as well. And also the website is firstandframerates.com. The website is firstandframerates.com. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Georgia Southern, let's look at what they got ahead of them. They're going to be playing UL and Monroe. I keep saying UL and Monroe, but it's UL Monroe. And they're not a very good team. They're struggling a little bit, and this is a game that we should win. We're at Paulson. We're going to be playing against, I ain't going to say an inferior opponent, but I just don't think this team has the talent like we do. And based on what we've done throughout the entire season, outside of the James Madison game, we should be okay as far as taking it to this team pretty well. This should be the jump start for the season where we play our next 6 games. We got 3 at home, 3 away. And to be quite honest, looking at the rest of the schedule, even though we're playing a formidable Georgia State at Paulson, and 5 days after we played the Monroe game, I still think we should be able to run the table. I know that's going to be a lot for people. I think a lot of people are looking at that like, well, you're talking crazy, but it's not as far-fetched as you see. I'm looking at the Georgia State game that could be pretty much ours because we're at Paulson. But we're looking at UL Monroe. And like I said, I don't think this team is going to be up to the task to handle the firepower that Georgia Southern has. If you have been watching any of the stats, or if you know anything about the stats, you know that UL Monroe give up 454 yards per game on defense. I mean, they give up almost 273 yards passing and another 180 yards rushing. Now, for us, that bodes very well for us because of the fact that we're pretty much the top passing team in the Sun Belt, and we can run the ball if need be. Now, this is one thing that we have gotten away from Georgia Southern. I would like to see more of. I would like to see more running. I think we haven't seen much of it because of the last, I'll say, maybe 3. I can say the last 3 games for the most part. Maybe you can say the last, 4 or 5 games that we haven't seen the run game because we were like either in shootouts or we were just flexing our muscles with the passing game, which I think that we have really, 2, maybe 3, and in some cases maybe 4 good running backs that can actually run the ball and carry this team if need be. But I know this is an air raid offense, so I expect Georgia Southern to put up at least 35 to 40 points in this game, just like they've done pretty much all season outside of the James Madison and the Wisconsin game. Now, you never know what you're going to get out of Monroe. Maybe they will come and show up and they may give us a fight. But I just don't see us really laying down and going against the grain and losing this game. I will be extremely surprised if we lose this game. Now, as far as what UL Monroe can do, passing, they average about 135 yards passing the game and 182 yards rushing. So they do run the ball a little bit better. 318 yards total. And that kind of bodes well for us, even though we've given up about 364 a game. Most of that stuff is from the passing side because we do pretty good in the run game. We give up about 130 a game, which is actually not that bad considering the being in the FBS. I can't remember what rank it is, probably in the middle of the pack. But I think with the way our defense is set up, if we can shut down the run like I know we can, if I know that we can shut down the run, this will be a very long day for Monroe. That's one thing I could say for the most part. Even in pretty much all of these games, it's been pretty much the secondary has been giving up a lot of passing yards, for the team, and it kind of hurt us in the end. But even with all of that, I just don't think that Monroe will necessarily be able to beat us in the track meet. I mean, you just never know. I just don't see it right now. I really see us pretty much going to task and beating this team by at least 20 plus points. I mean, I just don't see it any other way. When I look at some of their leaders in passing, Wright has 694 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I'm not very impressed with after playing 6 games, you only threw for 694. And I mean that you're pretty much averaging a little bit over 120 a game, which I mean, like I said, it's nothing. It's nothing to laugh at, but it's just they just haven't been able to get anything going offensively. Woolard, their running back, has 314 yards, which is their leading rusher. He actually has more yards than Jalen White when coming into this game, and also that you have Howell, the receiver, which is 313 yards with 5 touchdowns. So what does this mean for the defense? I feel like the defense should be able to do really good things against these guys. I mean, I don't see anybody over there that stands out. I feel like that the defense, we could possibly have a game like we did when we played against, what's the team? Coastal Carolina. I would hope for that to be the case. I don't know if that's going to be the case. And like I said, you never know. Monroe may come in and give us a run for our money, but based on the way our defense have played at Paulson this year, I think we have a really good chance to actually, show that Georgia Southern is back to where we used to be. Because last week, I mean, seriously, last week that was a abysmal game. James Madison was clearly the better team. I mean, those guys, they brewed something up there extremely fast in a span of 2 years. Those guys are, a Sun Belt powerhouse. I mean, we were able to beat them last year. I expect nothing less when we went up to their home. And when we play them next year, I think we play them next year. Once they play them in Madison. If we play them in Paulson, I expect us to beat them again. So it looks like it's going to be back and forth with that situation. But Monroe, I just don't see us laying down or having that much issues like we did against James Madison. This should be like I said, this should be a game that jump starts the season for us, the second half of the season. It should give us a pretty good game to go up against until we play Georgia State and Texas State. But I think this would be a good warm up for the Georgia State game. I feel that we could pretty much have a pretty good game against these guys. I'm not even gonna go into the last time we played them. Last time we played them, it was a wild game. We actually it went down to the 1 yard line, but we had like a really good game. I think like J.D. King ran for almost 200 yards. Najee Thompson had a pretty good game as well. But this is a totally different situation. I think we haven't played them since then. I want to say that was the last game we played, but yeah, it's like we haven't played them since then, and it's a totally different situation. I mean, we don't even have the same coach from last time. So this is a situation where we should dominate this game. Georgia Southern should dominate. I will hope for them to dominate. And if we're able to, we'll be on the right track for the last 5 games of the season. I really can't wait because I'm not looking too far ahead. But when I seen that Georgia State beat Marshall, and I feel like we can go toe to toe with Georgia State, and then Texas State is not the team we thought they'll be, and Old Dominion and Appalachian State, definitely we should beat Old Dominion and Paulson. And Appalachian State is just not the same, so we have a chance, to run the table, and I am serious about that. But it all starts with ULM. I did it again, but it all starts with ULM. So hopefully we can get the winner against Monroe, and we'll see how it goes. So if you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. You think that Monroe can come in and beat us? Do you think Louisiana Monroe is going to lay down and we put up 40 on them? What do you think? I think that Georgia Southern should win this game quite handily. I think this is a game that is a really good pick-me-up game after a loss against James Madison. And I think this is just going to work out just fine. Overall, I think we're on schedule like the way we are going. And like I said, we were supposed to lose to Wisconsin, in my opinion, and James Madison. And I do see a third loss, whether it be against Texas State or Marshall. But I do feel like if we on our A game, I just don't see another team that's going to give us fits like what we saw earlier this year, and we possibly can run the table. So we'll see. I'm not sure. Maybe I said too much, but hey, that's what I do behind the mic, right? So I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I could also be found on Twitter at VFBaller, and the website is firstandframerace.com. I think I said enough. We'll get up out of here. Y'all guys take it easy, and y'all be blessed. All right, y'all. Peace.